think. Okay, we're good. So hello and welcome to the live stream, whether you are watching me live now. Thanks for being here. Thanks everyone for being here. And or whether you're watching the replay, I'm really glad you're here. So in this broadcast, I'm going to be talking about how to create your ideal customer profile. Now, what is an ideal customer avatar? How do you create one? I'm going to cover all of that in this live stream. And not only am I going to cover that, I'm going to do it in a slightly different way. So if you are familiar with the concept of a customer avatar or ideal client, and it really makes you want to throw up every time you have to go and create one, I've got a better system for you. So I think you will enjoy this one. So thanks again for joining me, and I'm really excited to be here. So I'm just gonna go in. Looks like everything is working the way it should. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sara Nguyen, and I help entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, small businesses build and grow their income and impact using video. So make sure that you check out the description for all of the links to everything that I'm going to talk about in this video. So I'm going to have a whole bunch of resources, and anything that you'll need will be there at the end of the broadcast. I'll go back and add it there. So let's go right into it. Creating your ideal client profile. Let's have a look at this, because if you're a business owner, you know that you're supposed to create this persona of who you want to target and who you want to, buy your products and services. And I wanted to look at this in a new way, and so that you can have a profile of someone who is incredibly connected to you. So an incredibly connected customer avatar gets you, understands what your message is all about, and they buy off you a lot easier because they understand what you're offering, and it's so much easier when you have that connection. But the problem with customer avatar is that what we've been taught, and what I wouldn't say that it's the wrong way to do it, but the traditional way of identifying a customer avatar is that you create this imaginary person who you believe is someone who will buy your products and services. So this is the idea of a customer avatar. The concept of an ideal client is someone who will buy your products and services and can afford to pay for it and willingly wants to pay for it. So your customer avatar is a profile of who your ideal client is. So ideal clients, people who will buy your products and services, can afford it. Customer avatar is the profile of who they actually are. So the traditional way is to make up this person who's a combination of a bunch of demographics or geographics, and, pretty much taking a guess of who you want to actually attract into your actual business. Sorry, I just got a little bit distracted because my slides are out of order. I'm trying this new way, and nothing like live to get you a little bit distracted. But the problem with creating a customer avatar where you have this fictitious person is that because you've made this person up, because you've taken a guess of who they are. So what normally happens when people create a profile of their customer avatar is they'll say something like, my customer avatar is female, she's probably aged between 30 and 40. I may be replicating my past self here. She likes to do yoga, she likes to eat burgers, she earns about $100,000, and she lives in an apartment. And the problem with this is that this person is imaginary, they're not real. And then you end up trying to create all of this content for this fictitious person who doesn't exist, right? And you really do end up with this crazy person who attracts the strangest people into your business. If you've ever created a customer profile and you've had just the weirdest people, in your audience, this is probably one of the reasons why. It's probably because you've created a customer profile or customer avatar of this fictitious person, and then you just bring in the weirdest people, and you're kind of like, these are not my people. They're just really different to the people I would want to work with. So the problem with that is that you are creating this fictitious person. Therefore, when you're trying to connect with them, it's really, really difficult because you end up with a schizophrenic personality and then the strangest people coming into your audience. So the way that I want you to think about your customer avatar is not necessarily as someone who's fictitious that you make up that you would love to buy from you. I think that's an old way of creating a customer profile. And I get it's a starting point, but I think today in 2020, we're much more evolved than that. So the way that I want you to think about your customer avatar, and when I learned this system, it really made it connect for me, and I hope it connects for you too. So instead of thinking of your customer avatar as this fictitious, person that you've made up, like the blue person in Avatar, think about your customer avatar as yourself. You're looking in the mirror. Your customer avatar is you. And I know there's a big argument where people say, you're not your customer. Well, actually, for the most part, you are. And let me explain why. You are your customer avatar. Well, the past you is. The past version of you is. And you are your customer avatar. And that you are the perfect candidate for your customer avatar because you understand the struggle, you understand the pains that they've had, and you know what it takes to get from where you were to where you are now, right? So that makes you the most powerful customer avatar with your past self, the most powerful customer avatar, because you can now connect with this person as opposed to this fictitious person that you've made up. And everyone I know who goes through a customer avatar, goes through an ideal customer profile exercise where they have to make up a fictitious person, it really feels just frustrating. But when you think of it as you are your customer avatar, the past you is, it's so much easier to connect. It's so much easier to understand the pains because you went through it, right? And it's your experience and it's your knowledge. You're looking in the mirror. All these pieces make you your customer avatar. So I wanted to also go through not only, this new way of looking at your customer avatar, but now that, we've identified that your past self is your customer avatar, how do you then create this profile of the past you, right? So I've got a couple of questions. You can ask lots and lots of questions, and I do have a detailed set of questions, but I've got 5 today. Oh, so someone said it's a little bit difficult to hear me. Okay, thanks for letting me know, bring this up a little bit. So hopefully that is better. I toggle between being too loud and too soft. But thanks, Helen, for letting me know. And hi to everyone who's joined the broadcast. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me much better now. Let me know if you can't. So let's go through 5 questions to help you create this profile of your customer avatar, the profile of who you used to be. So the first question, let's get rid of you, is think back to who you were. Think back to you, your past self, before you went through all the transformation to be able to offer the services and products that you do now. Ask yourself, what was your past self? So what was his or her number one struggle, right? And with this question, you're really uncovering the pain that they had, the pain that you had. And you can answer this very, very well. Especially if you're on the health niche, I think this is a really powerful question to ask, because if you've gone through that weight loss or health journey, you know exactly what it's like to struggle, right? And you can articulate what that struggle is. And so write down what your number one struggle was before you went through all of this transformation. So it could be a range of things. So for my particular customer avatar, the number one struggle was having confidence to put yourself out there, right? The struggle was being on camera. So write down whatever your struggle was. That's the first thing. So the second question to help you create this profile is, how did the problem show up for you back then? So what did it look like? What did the fear, what did the pain look like Was it, I'm using the health example as, I guess, one to give a demonstration on. But if it was that you were looking to lose weight and struggling, was it that you were overweight? Was it that you had health problems? Was it that you were unhappy? How did your problem look like to you, your past self? Write that down. See, these are really powerful questions, and these are much more powerful than, creating a fictitious profile of a person who may live in a certain area, who's a certain age. These really help you identify the fears, frustrations, the needs, desires, and all the psychological things that go on that help you really connect with someone. So the third question is, what's the real reason that you weren't able to solve your problems back then, right? So this one really looks at what were the beliefs that you were holding at the time. So for me, at the time, before I learnt, how to go live on camera and how to use video, the reason that I believed that I didn't want to go on camera was that I was afraid of the camera. But that's not the real reason. The real reason was that I was afraid of judgment, like most people. So that's the real reason. So the surface reason is that, yes, I'm afraid of camera, I'm introvert. But the real reason is that I was afraid of judgment. I was afraid of looking like a failure, and I was afraid of being embarrassed. So what's the real reason that you weren't able to solve your problem at that time? Really, really powerful question. It sounds simple, but it really digs deep into the mindset and the beliefs that you were holding at that time. So why did you think that things didn't work for you? Like, why did you think that even though you tried all these things, that they didn't work? So what did you try, and why did you think they didn't work? Once again, we're looking at, the experiences. Really powerful question. And we're looking at, once again, the beliefs that you had at that time. And the last question that I have is, what beliefs did you need to let go of in order to break through, right? So you, as your customer avatar, the past version of yourself, went through a transformation. You learned all these things, you applied all these things, but in order to get from point A to point B, where you were to where you are now, you had to let go of a lot of limiting beliefs, and you had to let go of a lot of fears. So what are they? What were they that you had to let go of? For me, I had to let go of the fear of judgment, right? I had to let go of the fear of people judging me, the fear of people judging my business, and a whole bunch of things that I wasn't good enough, a whole lot of things that I had to let go of. So write them down. And these are such, I think, confronting but beautiful questions as well. Because when you realize that, yes, you are your customer avatar, and then you go through these sets of questions, it's a little bit emotional to see that, okay, these were the struggles that I had. The problems looked like all of these pains. I wasn't able to work through it because I had all of these limiting beliefs. I tried a bunch of things and they didn't work because, and then then I let go of a bunch of stuff and what they were. And if you look at all of these traits, these profile elements is what makes up your customer avatar. There are a lot more questions that you can definitely ask, but these are the 5 that I would ask to get started. And these are the, questions that will really help you, surface the traits of a customer avatar. Now, once again, why do you even need a customer avatar? It's a good question, because sometimes I feel that you get given all these things to do for the sake of it. Create a SWOT analysis, create a ideal client profile. The purpose of creating a ideal client profile and a customer avatar is that it gets you very clear on who you want to attract, and you go through these steps to create this profile of someone who you understand, and then you've got all their pain points, and then you know who that person is, right? And then that way you can also repel people who you don't want to attract. So it's really important that you start to create a customer avatar to help you, really this time when you've created this customer avatar. And I do feel that you can have multiple customer avatars throughout your business life, But then you've got a vision of who you were, and when you're creating content, you can think back to, okay, what was my experience back then? What did past me need that I can, create for them? What's all the content pieces? What's all the products and services that past me would have really, really needed to move through all of this stuff? And then it also works in terms of not just creating products, but in terms of the content that you create and the messaging that you have. So it becomes really, really powerful and a really helpful way of helping you, work through who it is you want to actually attract. And you want to attract people like yourself. So hopefully you found this useful. And this really was a bridged, cut down version of, coming up with your customer avatar and your ideal client profile. And I hope you found it useful. And I hope that this is a much, you find this a lot better to do than actually going through and trying to create a demographic and it's like trying to create a profile of someone by their demographics and geographics. I hope that you go through these questions and then it helps you really uncover all the psychographic, all of the mindset, all of the beliefs, and that is a powerful customer avatar profile. So if you found this video useful, give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you're looking for more ways to grow your business, make an impact and grow your reach, make sure you grab a copy of my Facebook Live cheat sheets. I'll put a link to them in the description and somewhere on the screen, hopefully. And my Facebook Live cheat sheets is a step-by-step walkthrough of how to get up and running on Facebook Live, even if you've never hit record before. I actually go through creating your customer avatar profile, and I've got like 10 questions in there. So it's a real deep dive, and I go a lot further into it, but I've only got limited time here. So have a look at the Facebook Live cheat sheets, and I hope that you've enjoyed this live stream and this new format that I'm trying out. Thanks for everyone for joining me live, and I'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for now.